Why, hello there. Welcome to this video. My name's Leah. I'm a new progressive YouTuber. I started recently doing like a Wednesday and a Saturday show where I just talk about the weekly events going on, like the big stories, and there have been a lot of big stories. And I've also just been, talking about the stuff that I think is important, all that great jazz. I started doing all this because I feel like it's a good use of my political energy as someone who has been tuned into politics for the past, I would say 6 or 7 years or something like that. But anyway, today we are going to have 3 segments, I think. I'm not really sure exactly how many segments, but this is the first segment. And this first segment is about the Harris campaign. This is like campaign watch. Like we are sort of just watching how this campaign is unfolding. There's, stories related to that and stuff like that. I have like 3 independent stories that I'm sort of wrapping together into this like Harris campaign segment. So that's what this one's about. I do have to admit, I'm a little bit sleepy. I have had a pretty long day and I recently ate a pretty big meal. So I am trying to power through it, but just bear with me. I'm going to try to be kind of concise here today because I don't want these videos to be super long because it's actually kind of late and I need to get to bed soon, to be totally honest with you. I'm supposed to be at work at like 6:30 in the morning. It's like 11 p.m. right now and I'm recording. So I'm still got to edit these and all that wonderful stuff. But yeah, we got to jump into this story. So the first thing that we got to talk about, most Americans support Biden leaving the race. Democrats rally behind Harris. So this is sort of some information that has come out due to polling. The latest Reuters Ipsos poll conducted immediately after Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 presidential race and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris shows that if Harris were to be the Democratic nominee, the race between her and Republican nominee Donald Trump would be too close to call. A strong majority of Americans support Biden stepping out of the 2024 race, and a majority believes he should finish out the term as president. A strong majority of Democrats support Harris pursuing the nomination and believe the Democratic Party should rally around her so she can build a campaign. So one thing to keep in mind about this polling, if you look at it, it is too close to call, but like this is before a lot of the campaign has really started for Kamala. Like she is ramping up her campaign right now. I'm just noticing that this webpage is making me look like super pale. It's like blasting me with light, so that's pretty funny. But yeah, so this polling is very close, but this is before a lot of the campaign stuff has even happened with Harris. Like this is pre-campaign polling. So this is like polling that was immediately right after Joe Biden dropped out, but before a lot of Americans were able to learn a lot about the Harris campaign, see her speeches, go to maybe a rally or something like that. So that leads me to speculate that, Harris probably has some like upward movement potential, or like she can probably start growing in her popularity and stuff like that. Whereas Trump, like pretty much everyone knows who Trump is. Pretty much everyone has an opinion on Trump. So like I think I saw some statistic that like only 2% of the population is sort of undecided about Donald Trump, whereas there are very many more people who are undecided about like Kamala Harris. So that gives her a lot of upward movement potential, whereas Trump is sort of locked into place with his electorate. This is kind of interesting though. Since Biden announced he would no longer be running for president, Harris's favorability number increased from 39% to 44%. I would imagine that shift in polling and like her just like getting a boost right there is probably literally just because people feel like they need to rally behind her and stuff like that. I'm not saying that she's a bad candidate or anything like that. And I'm actually coconut pilled. Like I'm pretty excited about the Harris campaign. I feel like there's a lot of potential political energy that can go into this. And we might see something incredible. Who knows? We have a lot of time left here for Harris to like run her campaign and a lot of, ads that'll play and rallies that'll happen, stuff like that. So we'll see where it goes. It's an exciting time to be alive for sure though. That's for sure. So I just wanted to start off with that polling. I just thought that was really interesting because that kind of paints a picture of like where we're sitting in terms of like how the American population feels, because a lot of people were like talking about like once Joe Biden dropped out of the race, a lot of people were talking about how like what if the American population doesn't approve of this? What if they wanted Joe Biden to stay in the race? What if you're usurping the Democratic nominee or whatever? And it's like no, everyone wanted this to happen. If you looked at polling before the race even started, no one wanted Trump or Biden to be the nominees. So like I saw a bumper sticker today that literally said anyone else, like literally anyone else 2020. And I thought that was so funny because it's like, well, we didn't get literally anyone else 2020, but we did get someone else 2024, and that's Harris. So next what I wanted to talk about is the fact that Trump, being the coward that he is, backed out of the freaking presidential debate with Kamala Harris. Now, the reason I picked this article is because, I wanted to point out a couple responses to of the fact that Trump is backing out of the debate. Like, Trump put out a statement basically saying that, like, because of all the chaos, quote unquote chaos in the Democratic Party, and because of the recent change at the top of the ticket, he doesn't feel confident that Harris will be the nominee, so he doesn't want to debate her if she's not going to be the nominee, which is so stupid. He specifically cited saying that, like, Obama hasn't endorsed her, and that was his reason that, like, the Democratic Party is in chaos and in total disarray, because apparently if Obama doesn't endorse Harris, like, the party's not behind her or something, which is super, super funny, because, like, literally right after he said that, you know, he basically put the whole thing on Obama and said, like, well, Obama doesn't back her, so she's probably not the nominee, so, you know, I'm guessing that, like, I'm not gonna have to debate her, so I don't want to debate her. And then Obama just, like, tosses his endorsement out there, which is super funny. Like, the timing of it is hilarious, because he clearly probably saw this and was like, well, screw that, like, he's not going to use me as an excuse for backing out of this debate. And it's so funny. And then there's this interview with Pete Buttigieg.
Covered earlier in the show, Donald Trump and his campaign have suggested that he may not follow through with the debate in September that had been scheduled to be with President Biden. Now, of course, would be the vice president, assuming she does wrap up the nomination as expected. What do you make of that?
It's extraordinary. Tough talk is this guy's calling card. And there's this extraordinary show of weakness. He agreed to, you know, he said anytime, any place. But more than that, he agreed to this specific debate on this specific network on this specific date. And now he's pulling out. And of course, it shows that he's afraid. It shows that he knows if the two of them are on a stage together, it's not going to end well for him. You know, this is a campaign that really has struggled to be about anything but Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And I think that's the bigger pattern that you're seeing here, and part of why the Trump campaign is having such a hard time adapting. Think about it, just in a matter of 2 or 3 days, our campaign adapted to literally the biggest possible change, which is a change in the top of the ticket. And yet, you know, within a couple of days, that support consolidated and that message was clear. They, meanwhile, have been flailing in a way that shows they're unable to adapt. And to me, it's not just that their entire strategic apparatus was built around tearing down Joe Biden. I think there's something deeper, which is Donald Trump cannot conceive of a campaign that isn't about the candidate. You know, we're obviously very excited about our candidate. Kamala Harris is a leader that everybody is pulling together around, but also she's articulating a message that isn't just about herself and certainly isn't just about Donald Trump, although she has that contrast down. It's about us. And that's the kind of campaign that wins. It's the right kind of campaign. And it's also one that literally does not compute for somebody like Donald Trump.
So you, of course, just mentioned.
So I thought that clip was worth showing because, like, Pete is a really well-spoken guy, and, like, honestly, I feel like he laid out the whole thing really well right there, that, like, the Republicans, if you look at their reporting and stuff like that, they try to paint this whole thing going down as if, like, the Democratic Party is in chaos. But if you look objectively at what's going on, it's quite clear that people are just really excited about the Harris campaign. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of stuff happening. And sure, you know, it's moving at a fast pace and stuff like that, but there's just a lot of energy. You know, that's really the reality of what's happening. And also, the Republicans have no idea how to run against Kamala. They have no idea how to do a campaign against her. And I think Donald Trump is afraid of her. I think he's afraid of getting on stage with her, because I think Donald Trump is smart enough to realize that, like, she's a prosecutor, he's a criminal. She's already talked about this stuff on stage. If she gets on stage and starts hammering on that stuff, it's freaking over for him. It'll look so bad optically that, like, it'll overshadow the whole debate. So we have a response from Kamala right here. Trump agreed on a September 10th debate. It appears now he's backpedaling. Voters deserve to see the split screen that exists on a debate stage. I'm ready. So let's go. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up covering the updates for the campaign, the Kamala campaign. And I'm pretty excited about this. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to keep covering more information as it comes out related to her campaign, speeches, rallies, rallies, all that wonderful stuff. If any big news comes out, you know, I will be sure to cover it. I did want to say that just like a little update. In one of my previous videos, we talked about how Kamala Harris raised like $81 million in like less than 24 hours or whatever. She is like over $100 million. I think last time I checked, it was like $120 million in grassroots donations from like over 1.4 million people, which is just incredible. I mean, it really goes to show how many people are actually excited about this campaign, how much energy it's creating, hearing about Joe Biden like doing the right thing and like stepping down from the campaign. And like, you know, I was gonna cover Joe Biden's, he gave like a response, like he had like a little thing he did where he gave a response sort of like addressing the nation and talking about like, you know, why he decided to whatever, and it was pretty uneventful. I really don't even feel like covering it because it was kind of boring and meandering, and like I don't want to listen to Joe Biden speak anymore. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm sort of over listening to him talk about stuff because he's just a pain to listen to. He really is. I have 2 more segments for the rest of this show, so I'm gonna go ahead and start working on those. If you like the video, hit the like button, and if you want to hit the subscribe button, that would help me out a lot. I'm a new YouTuber trying to push towards like 100 subscribers, and so if you want to help me get there, that would mean a lot. I would super appreciate that. I feel like this is a very energetic time in terms of politics and stuff like that. Like there's constantly stuff happening. There's news all over the place. I was extremely hopeless about the November election. I'm not gonna lie. I was feeling really doomer about it, but now I have some hope, and it's giving me life, and that's great. I mean, I like feeling hope. That's a good thing. Anyway, I hope to catch you in the next one. But either way, I want you to do me just one tiny little favor and drink yourself some water.